bugging out for a 5,000-mile road trip, half of it being solo. What I learned not to do, and all the preps that I did to make myself ready for this. For this road trip, bugging out, we are taking my personal F450. This thing is a 2020 Power Stroke diesel. It's got over 200,000 miles on it. I do all the maintenance myself pretty much, except for the major repairs. It's been a great truck, and your bug out vehicle, or whenever SHTF happens, is probably going to be the vehicle you're in or have the closest proximity to, because that's what you have. And this one obviously is going to be mine. The main thing with this, road trip, going from Detroit metro area where we live down out to Idaho and then back, with obviously taking multiple stops. Range, absolutely range. I know everybody wants to go with the 4x4, souped up, huge, everything. I get it, but range, and the fact that it's relatively good economy for the size of the vehicle that I have and the capabilities of hauling cargo, vehicle range, just the amount of fuel you can carry, absolutely the most important thing for me. And yeah, we're going to stop for, bathroom breaks and everything like that. But being able to make it 800, 900 miles without actually having to fill up is absolutely the best thing for me. I do carry extra fuel with me at all times. Now, I don't have like a secondary fuel tank in the back of the truck. I just have a 5.5 gallon fuel jug back there. Absolutely. I use it twice on this trip alone. Not only does it, I have that extra security blanket behind me, knowing that I can pass the gas station and not worry about it. But also, we have like about, I usually fill up around $3.50, and we are seeing over $4 through this trip. And then once we see a cheap fuel, it's cheap diesel, I can actually save money and fill up there, and then obviously fill my fuel jug as well, and keep that extra fuel on board, so I don't have to stop at that $4.40 per gallon diesel stop. I can actually pass it up, get a little bit outside of town, and then fill up someplace that's in the $3 range. We did that happen a couple times, and absolutely that's why I use the 5 gallons, so I can throw it in the tank, not worry about it, still get that extra 100-mile range. Actually about 85 miles what I get for 5 gallons of diesel, 90 miles. I don't want to run it too low here, but absolutely one of the best things about a bug out vehicle is the range. You're not going to want to, again, everybody loves electric vehicles. Fantastic. Grid goes down, it's going to be kind of hard to get that range out of that battery powered vehicle. For the bug out vehicle, is 4x4 necessary? No, absolutely not necessary. I didn't put my truck in 4x4 at all on this trip. Granted, I was on freeways and, regular roads that maybe 1 or 2 dirt roads here or there. Nothing crazy. And I get it. If we're trying to mow down zombie apocalypse, whatever, you're going to want but realistically, not needed. And also, it's a waste. And I'm not going to be jacking up this truck. I'm not looking for a, overland vehicle that's got 25 inches of clearance. And I'm looking for fuel economy, lower to the ground. It's the best way to do it. Obviously, if we're actually bugging out for real, I'd have a trailer behind this truck. That's the whole point of this truck. We have an 8-foot bed. You guys can see behind me, I had a huge Husky box and another one too for hauling luggage, which is, pretty awesome. I drove out to Idaho, and my family met me there. We drove back, seen a bunch of stuff. It was absolutely fantastic. But 4x4 is absolutely not at all necessary. Modifications for the truck, maintenance, basic maintenance. Made sure my tires were good. I did put new shocks on the truck because it's 200,000 miles. I think these were the stock shocks, so I replaced them with some Bilstein 5100s. Other than that, made sure everything was good. Maintenance, fresh oil change out the fuel filters, and drain the oil water separator, or the fuel water separator, and you just drive the vehicle as is. Fantastic. It's been the most reliable vehicle I've ever owned in my entire life. So I do carry tools with the truck at all times. This is the toolbox behind me, basically in the bed of the truck at all times. Carry a first aid kit, obviously a 3-ton jack. We won't be able to change out spare tires. Tow strap, as you guys can see in there. Nothing too crazy. Of course, a tool kit as well. I highly recommend you guys get those Badlands Jack from Harbor Freight. They're fantastic. But also, I basically, first aid kit, tire inflator, as you guys can see there. I do carry a small little ramp, or like a platform, so I can get into the truck. And obviously, the platform itself is so I can get into underneath the hood easily. Hammer, obviously parts to change out spare tires. Basic stuff, hooligan tool if I need it, just things that I need on the roadside, because I do not want to be stuck there, and absolutely don't want to rely on anybody else, including AAA, to self-rescue. And now, of course, I don't have a winch or anything like that. I'm not looking to go overland and, get into some crazy, we're on a road trip here, but you never know as far as what we need to actually do with the vehicle. But in case something happens, I need to change out a light bulb, wire, something happened with the wire harness, I have something to actually change out wires, stuff like that. So nothing crazy with the toolkit. As far as the trip itself, absolutely went off without a hitch. No flat tires, no maintenance issues, nothing like that. It was absolutely a great trip. A couple things that I did notice, lots and lots of vehicles on the side of the road with flat tires, as you would expect, but there was probably at least, I want to count probably 15 vehicles that had, I looked at them, they had blown out tire, but there was nobody at the vehicles abandoned, because obviously either they didn't know how to change a tire or they didn't have the means to change that tire. And that was just absolutely, that's ridiculous. Like if anything like that, anything like SHTF happens, and it basically, the freeways are gonna be jam-packed full of cars anyway. Everybody's gonna go to the freeways and get, gridlocked anyway. But even when you're doing like a peacetime, everything's great, and then you still aren't prepared enough to have a way to change a flat tire or a blowout. That just shows how many people are not prepared in the slightest for anything that they're doing on a daily basis. There's probably at least, now there's obviously multiple vehicles I saw on the side of the road that had flat tires, but the guys were changing it, working it away, or there was a tow truck there. Absolutely, but it boggled my mind. It's like every hour or so I saw one on the side of the road, blown out tire, nobody near the vehicle whatsoever, and then you see somebody just walking or trying to hitchhike back out. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, I did not want to be that kind of person. I want to be able to self-rescue as much as possible. Obviously, if I have, axle or engine failure, we're going to have to wait for a tow truck and get this big truck out of here. But no big deal whatsoever. I had no problems with the maintenance or anything like that on my vehicle. It was awesome. But it just blew my mind for how many vehicles I saw on the side of the road with blown tires that were not being addressed at that moment. It is what it is, but I don't want to rely on AAA for anything. Next thing I notice is there's a lot of distance between water sources, and I understand. The truck's running. We're running at 75, 80 miles an hour. It is what it is. But if you're in a bug out situation or anything like that, you're not going to be going this fast, especially because these freeways are going to be chock full of vehicles. Either already ran out of fuel, or you're going to be dodging and weaving people trying to flag you down to rescue them. You're not going to get the gas mileage you need. And two, there's a lot of distance between sometimes these water sources. Iowa and Nebraska, you're going to be able to go off the beaten path and find them. That's why you want paper maps and everything like that. But if you're just trying to stay on the freeway, there's sometimes you're gonna need to find water. And I absolutely plan on bringing a bunch of water with me if I ever have to bug out with my family. It's kind of crazy to think, because we're in Michigan and there's plenty of water everywhere. But once you get into the central United States, there's lakes, there's rivers. But everybody else knows those rivers are there too. Everybody else knows those lakes are there as well. So be prepared. On the way back with the family, one thing that stuck out really a lot was bathroom breaks. Obviously, we, in a middle America, there's plenty of places to pull off for a bathroom break. And, as a guy, you can just pull off and relieve yourself on the side of the road. But it's nice if, especially the base camp trailer, it's going to have a full restroom in it. Security-wise, especially with a family, with a wife, a daughter, just being able to throw them back there, have them do their business, and then stay near the thoroughfare, stay near the road that you're trying to travel down. Security wise, you don't need to be finding some place to try to use the restroom that other people that you don't know can congregate, and you never know what's going to pop off. So having a restroom and of course a shower, that's first world problems, especially in a SHTF scenario, but it's nice. It's absolutely one of those things that I am definitely going to be installing, and it's going to be nice. We're traveling down the road doing multiple road trips and everything like that. It's going to be an awesome thing to have. Backup navigation, absolutely. We have our Garmin's, we have our phones, but paper maps, it helps. And as far as it's something to do, and you can actually see we're here. You might get tunnel vision. 15 minutes down this road, my wife was like, hey, we can just take a 20-minute jaunter down this road, and bam, we are in Colorado. Fantastic, let's do it. So things like that, it helps having paper maps. It helps being able to, not rely on electrical devices if you need to. And if something happens, you're going to be able to need to charge those devices. And it's nice not having to start a 6.7 diesel truck just to charge a cell phone. It's very nice not having to do that. So keep that in mind. Next one would be, since we're doing this in the summertime, air conditioning. I know it's a lot of Europe doesn't have air conditioning, or they don't have, it's not readily what people use in there, but It's absolutely a necessity. If the grid goes down, there's going to be a lot of people who die just from heat exposure, lack of air conditioning, because it was hot. It was absolutely hot. And sometimes my truck, we got to go in speed. Air conditioning was blasting. We're cool. We're nice and comfortable. But man, if it was another couple more degrees, it's getting pretty warm. So air conditioning, yeah, it's not a necessity, but whew. Like if we're bugging out in the middle of the summertime, we're going to be heading north, because I don't like 100-degree temperatures, and it's going to kill people. If something happens, the grid goes down, a lot of people are going to die just because of the heat, just because they can't relieve, they can't go, it's just going to happen. And air conditioning, absolutely necessity. Of course, the base camp trailer is going to have air conditioning, it's mini split and everything, but that's one thing I kind of underestimate. It's like, man, it's hot out. It is absolutely nice. There's things where we're like, no, we're good. We're just going to keep rolling through here, stay in the nice air-conditioned truck, and just keep blasting down the road. It's no big deal whatsoever. Last one I would say, as far as this trip-wise, keeping obviously food and everything. We have plenty of avenues of grabbing food, restaurants and everything like that. But having a way to keep food cool, having a refrigerator, some sort of DC powered refrigerator, is absolutely one of the great things. And of course, the trailer's going to have that too. But being able to keep things cool or even frozen, food storage, absolutely imperative. Especially if the grid goes down, being able to hook up a solar panel and keep something cold, because having food, having that ice, it not only is it obviously keeping things, fresh and healthy, but it's also a morale booster. Having something cold, it just tastes better. It's just nice, something to look forward to. And you can stock up when it's cheap out, just like I did with fuel. If it's cheap, stock up, save yourself that money down the road. And that's just more money you can spend on whatever it is, or save, or you don't need to barter. You don't need to do anything like that. It's absolutely one of those things where it's a morale booster, save some money. And something, if you're out on the vehicle all the time, something to look into, because having that cold drink, that cold sandwich, or for me, coffee creamer, having my coffee, I like my coffee, having that coffee creamer, nice, cool. It's not in dairy, but you still want to keep it cold. It made all the world of difference. In conclusion, about a 5,000 mile road trip, bugging in, bugging out, whatever you guys want to call it, just doing practice. Truck performed great. Some ways of doing it. I don't have the Overlanding, T1000 of the vehicles. It's just what I have. This is what I have. If I was going to bug out, we're going to, high fuel capacity plus extra fuel. I might think about a bed tank, as far as something to have, auxiliary fuel tank in the bed of the truck with a tool, something like that. It's probably in my future for sure, but that's going to be down the road as well. Let me know if you guys have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to add to this. Let me know in the comment section below. But it turned out to be a pretty awesome little mini vacation, practicing a little with the preps wise and seeing how the vehicle does. About 16 miles to the gallon as far as what I was getting for fuel economy, if you guys are wondering about that. So in a 48-gallon fuel tank, which I didn't run it too low, and we kept 5 gallons in the back just for poops and wiggles. And I did use it a couple times, and it did come in handy. I'm absolutely very staunch supporter of keeping extra fuel in the back of your vehicle, because you never know. Plus I have that safety net behind me that I can just be like, all right, we can push through. If we can't get it, then we got that extra fuel. Absolutely recommend you guys take that into your preps. But like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.